Another national political leader is in town this morning. We're going to hear from political science experts on how Vice President Biden's visit might impact the midterm elections.
And a longtime advocate for the homeless here in Madison plans to fight the decision to fire her, claiming it was, quote, out of the blue.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is Tuesday, October 30th, 6 o'clock now, and Dave Caulfield's in for Hattie this morning. Thanks for rising and shining.
Oh, yeah, you know, I mean, you got to.
You got to.
You have to.
You don't really have an option.
Yeah, I don't have a choice.
Especially, too, when we have so many clouds in the mix for the day.
Yeah, it can be tough on days like today because of the clouds, and we do have a slight chance for rain, especially spots south and east of Madison by the time we get to about the lunchtime hour, so keep that in mind. Doppler track is quiet, though, to start out this morning. Downtown Madison on the Edgewater Skycam, maybe a little bit of mist off in the distance, but I think we're just looking at mostly cloudy skies for the most part. Temperatures are up to 44 in Madison, or as I call it, two sailboats. 45 in Mineral Point, 45 in Janesville, and 40 in Camp Douglas. Quite a bit warmer compared to this time on Monday, especially for spots like Janesville and into northeastern Iowa. Wind speeds out of the south and east at about 6 to 12 miles per hour right now. They'll be out of the west by the time we get to later on tonight as that cold front comes through. But you're out the door forecast. We don't need to really worry about rain until we get to the early afternoon hours, and that rain could hang on in some spots into the evening hours. So have that umbrella ready to go. Temperatures will max out in the mid-50s this afternoon under those clouds. Here is your first alert traffic update. Verona Road and the Beltline looking good right now. No major accidents or incidents to report across the major roads in and around Madison. Traffic is generally heading out of the posted speeds. Your drive times from the local highways to the Beltline looking good. 7 minutes from westbound Oregon to the Beltline with an average speed right around 70 miles per hour. And that is your first alert traffic update.
I think the best news about today's forecast is the fact that tomorrow's is clear and dry and pretty nice.
Yeah, if we get through today, I have good news for Wednesday and Thursday.
Might not need the snow pants under the costume this year. All right, thanks, Dave.
Well, you might notice some delays this morning if your commute takes you through downtown. It's all because former Vice President Joe Biden will be visiting Madison today.
He's just the latest national political figure visiting the state in the final push ahead of next week's election. Josh Spreiter's live outside Gordon Commons on the UW campus, where people are already lining up to see the former VP. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Yeah, Joe Biden isn't set to speak until about 9 this morning, but check this out. You can already see a group of people lining up outside of the Gordon Dining and Events Center. No street closures are expected for the rally, but drivers should expect delays near campus with the increase in traffic. Mr. Biden is the latest national political figure to visit Wisconsin, but the first one to visit Madison specifically. We've seen other big-name political figures on both sides of the aisle visiting the state recently. Candidates here today include Senator Tammy Baldwin, gubernatorial candidate Tony Evers, and Lieutenant Governor candidate Mandela Barnes. You may remember President Trump visited central Wisconsin last week to rally for Republicans. Then former President Obama was in Milwaukee on Friday campaigning for Democrats. So do visits by these political leaders really sway us as voters? We caught up with political science professor David Cannon at the UW.
Independents often are critical in determining close elections, like we'll see here in Wisconsin. And so you do need to appeal to those independent voters as well. But this is definitely a base election in this midterm, and getting your core supporters to the polls is how both parties are viewing this.
There are some other big-name political figures in the state today. Republican Senate candidate Leah Vukmir will be continuing her tour across Wisconsin. She'll be joined by a number of political figures, including Eric Trump, Sean Duffy, and Patrick Testin. If you plan to attend this rally this morning, there will be heavy security. There will not be bags allowed inside, and tickets are required to get in. Ladies.
And we will be sure to have an update over on channel3000.com following the vice president's visit. All right, Josh Spreiter reporting live from the UW campus. Thanks, Josh.
There is a conversation happening tonight about some of the most important issues impacting communities of color. A community forum called Race to the Polls is hoping to energize minority voters. The discussion will focus on how health care, immigration, and the juvenile justice system could be impacted by the candidates up for election this fall. That discussion is at 5:30 tonight over at the UW Space Place inside the Villager Mall on South Park Street.
The former executive director of Madison's Tenant Resource Center plans to appeal the decision to fire her. The Cap Times is reporting the center's board told Brenda Conkle they wanted to go in a different direction and told her she could either resign or be fired. Conkle refused to resign and was fired on Friday. She had served as the executive director of the center since 1995. Now, the treasurer for Conkle's mayoral campaign told the paper she wasn't aware of any potential conflict between the campaign and Conkle running for mayor and her position with the Tenant Resource Center.
We are continuing to follow the investigation into the missing 13-year-old from Barron, Wisconsin, and an arrest related to the case. 32-year-old Kyle Janke Annis is accused of burglarizing the home of Jamie Kloss and her late parents. Local reports say he broke into that home Saturday and took underwear and other clothing belonging to Jamie. He has been cleared of any involvement in the girl's disappearance. He's expected to be back in court November 7th. Jamie has been missing since October 15th, when deputies found her parents, James and Denise, shot dead in their home. Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald says as of yesterday, the department has received more than 2,000 tips related to Jamie's disappearance. More than 1,800 of them have been closed.
A woman could be in court as soon as today after Madison police arrested her on first-degree homicide charges. 21-year-old Kenyara Gadsden is accused of shooting and killing 21-year-old Stephen Villegas in a State Street parking lot around bar time Sunday. This happened after Freak Fest. Now, detectives used surveillance video from downtown to identify Gadsden and take her into custody. The victim's mother says her son leaves behind his fiance, their son, who's almost 3 years old, and a newborn daughter. She says she's now grieving over a senseless act.
And this gun violence, it just has to stop. You know, folks is taking people, loved ones away from them senselessly, you know, and it just needs to stop. I never ever dreamed or thought that I would ever lose a child this way.
Police were looking into a possible incident at Whiskey Jack's on State Street that may have led up to the murder, but they now say there's no evidence of a fight there before the shooting happened.
Madison's school board will be rescheduling its meeting sometime within the next week after students shut down last night's conversation early.
The disruptions led to the meeting ending right around 7:30 last night. The board was set to pass the district's operating budget for the current school year, which included funding for officers in all of the high schools. However, about a dozen parents and students came out to argue against the educational resource officers, saying they disproportionately arrest students of color. The board has yet to announce when a rescheduled meeting would take place, but that budget does need to be approved by this Thursday, November 1st.
Now, this comes as City Council plans to accept a $250,000 grant for police in schools from the U.S. Department of Justice at tonight's meeting. That money will go toward training a critical response team in the city's 4 high schools that will work to reduce violence and better respond to situations with mental health aspects. Educational resource officers in those schools will take on the task as part of their normal responsibilities. Speaking of schools, there are some classrooms in DeForest that could be closed off to teachers and students for days, which means that district trying to figure out what to do with all that lost time. We'll share what some of the solutions are on the table after the break.
Unfortunately, for those dealing with molds in parts of the school there, it could be a damp day for areas across southern Wisconsin. Dave has the return of sunshine, though, in his first alert forecast. That's next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning. I hope your Tuesday is off to a terrific start. Temperatures on this Tuesday will be in the mid-50s for highs, kind of where we were yesterday afternoon, although maybe a little bit warmer in some spots. 52 the high yesterday in Madison, 46 in Wautoma, and 48 in Camp Douglas, 51 in the Dells. I think we'll be in the mid to, in some cases, close to the upper 50s over the next couple of days. And then as we head into the first weekend of November, it does get a little bit chilly across southern Wisconsin. And also we could be dealing with some rain and snow showers. So that's something to kind of keep on the horizon. But let's get through our shower chances this afternoon first, I think. Doppler track showing the rain well off to the north and west, but it won't stay that way. At least into this afternoon, we do have a chance of seeing some showers south and east of Madison generally. Your 48-hour rain chances showing that spike where we will probably need the umbrella right around the lunch hour and into the early evening hours in some spots. Then as we head into Halloween tomorrow and then Thursday, the first day of November, we're looking probably dry as high pressure settles in. So some nicer weather is ahead of us. We are going to be cooling down by this weekend, however. Madison on the WISC-TV Skycam showing mostly cloudy skies this morning. Temperatures are in the mid-40s generally across southern Wisconsin, a couple of 30s farther to the north and west, closer to where that rain is right now. Wind speeds right now out of the south and east at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but as that cold front comes through, we'll see them shift to being westerly by the time we get to later on today. Now, our Halloween weather over the past 5 years has been a little bit all over the place, like my costume choices over the past 5 years, to be frank. 37 last year, so pretty chilly. We'll be about 20 degrees warmer this Halloween. We were in the 60s in 2016. We actually had some snow, and it was back in 2014. That's the record snow for Halloween, only at 0.2 inches of snow. Don't need to worry about that this time around. We will be dry, but this afternoon may not be dry for all of us. You can see along that cold front some showers sparking up by this afternoon, and some of those showers could hang on at times. So have the umbrella ready to go later on this Tuesday, but by Wednesday we are clearing out with plenty of sunshine, highs getting into the mid-50s for highs as we head into tomorrow and today as well. For Thursday, temperatures will be closer to 50 degrees, and then this weekend a little bit more unsettled with a mix of rain and snow possible late Saturday into Sunday, and some more rain showers could be on the way for Monday and Tuesday. That's a look at your forecast. Now for a look at your first alert traffic update, let's turn it over to Josh Tim. Josh?
Yeah, it's a quiet start on the Beltline this morning. No delays showing up yet in either direction. Of course, that westbound side is continuing to get busier. Other roads here in Dane County not looking too bad right now. Just a few brake lights on the northbound side of Verona Road approaching the Beltline ramps. Downtown routes are moving well so far near the Capitol and on campus. Look for volume to increase over the next few hours. And other main routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Dave. 6:14 your time now. Classes are canceled for today and now possibly tomorrow, too, for 7th and 8th graders in DeForest because of a mold problem there. The superintendent says classes could be rescheduled or students could be moved to another building after that mold was found on the 7th and 8th grade side of the middle school. Class was also canceled yesterday, so Public Health Madison and Dane County could investigate how big the problem is. Experts say the mold is currently inactive, but they're not sure how long it's been there or when it was active. Parents should have a better idea of what's next for their kiddos when the district makes a decision by the end of the day. In East Troy, classes are expected to continue as planned at that high school if police okay it after a scare yesterday morning. The bomb squad was called and students were let out of classes early when an unknown substance in a jar was found inside a locker. After-school activities did go on as scheduled yesterday.
There's another chance for you to voice your opinion on what taxpayer dollars should be spent on in the Dane County budget next year. The county's Personnel and Finance Committee meets again tonight to go over amendments for the 2019 proposed budget. The public is welcome to come out and share their thoughts as well. That starts at 6 o'clock tonight at the City County Building downtown. Meanwhile, we're learning more about some of the amendments that are moving forward. The Health and Human Needs Committee for the county has approved spending another $80,000 to help the homeless. Most of that money would go toward housing programs for veterans and people who haven't had a home for at least a year. There's also a $70,000 amendment for immigration assistance and an additional $3,500 specifically for a Verona High School student group that's been helping families after recent immigration-related arrests. There's also a $20,000 request to support health care for transgender individuals. The full county board will talk about the budget in a couple weeks.
The team that provides support after shootings or other violent crimes in Madison will talk to alders today about ways to reduce those incidents moving forward. The Community Safety Intervention Team works to help victims of those crimes and their families. It includes people from the mayor's office, Madison Police, the school district, public health officials, and healthcare providers. Members have responded to almost 30 incidents so far this year, including 4 homicides and 11 shootings. They'll be talking with Common Council about their progress and future goals tonight at 5:30.
Common Council will also talk about changing paid parental leave policies for city employees. That proposed ordinance would give all city employees 6 weeks of paid leave after the birth or adoption of a child. Right now, most employees have to use sick time before going on wage insurance. On average, 4.5% of the city's workforce goes on parental leave each year. The city says that means the policy might require some additional funding for police and fire so those departments can actually meet minimum staffing levels, but it shouldn't cost any more for other departments to implement. 6:17 right now. There are really only 2 reasons I do not own a puppy yet. One, it's a tough schedule to be on with a dog, and it's tough to schedule around him on weekends. And 2, man, can it get expensive.
Oh, yeah.
We want to let pet owners know about an opportunity to get some affordable care in our area.
You might want to take Fido out for a walk this morning because Dave says it could get a little soggy around here by the afternoon. He's going to update your first alert forecast when News 3 This Morning continues.
6:21 on this Tuesday morning. Good morning. We do have to worry about a couple of rain chances by this afternoon, but for the morning, just the clouds are greeting us to start this Tuesday across Wisconsin. Temperatures are in the upper 30s closer to Rhinelander and 40 in Stevens Point, 44 in Madison, 50, so a little bit of a mild start in Milwaukee. Doppler track showing the rain well off to the north and west. That's not going to affect us anytime soon, but by the time we get to this afternoon, as that cold front comes through, some more showers could fire up along that front. And right around the lunch hour into the mid-afternoon hours, I think, is our best chance of rain. So bring the umbrella at that time and have it ready to go into the evening as well, because a couple of those showers could hang around. This morning, temperatures in the 40s into the low 50s, a cool start and mostly cloudy. And by this afternoon, those chances for showers will ramp up a little bit, mainly to the south and east of Madison. Highs will be in the mid-50s. And that's your first alert forecast.
All right. Thanks so much, Dave. Not a bad day to maybe get your lunch delivered to your home or business here in Madison by Eat Street. That local startup is hitting the road to help get food to folks who can't always afford it. Starting this week, Eat Street is launching its road trip campaign to bring financial donations to food pantries in every Wisconsin city that uses the delivery service. We're not going to say the name of it because it's a little early for the swear words they use, but they are dropping off more than $20,000 in cash donations to those pantries. The whole thing starts with a $4,000 donation to the Goodman Community Center and its food pantry. Up next, Green Bay, Appleton, Eau Claire, and La Crosse.
Schools across Wisconsin are taking a new approach to teaching students about opioid addiction. Wisconsin Eye and the UW School of Medicine are teaming up to show a documentary that features teens in recovery instead of adults. That film's based on what's known as a peer-to-peer model. There's also a curriculum for teachers to follow before and after showing that documentary in order to have an open discussion about the opioid epidemic. The documentary's already been screened in La Crosse, but will soon be shown in schools in Spring Green, Green Bay, and Stevens Point.
There is about to be an affordable new choice for you to take your furry friend for his annual shots and checkups here in Madison. Precision Veterinary will offer low-cost spay and neuter procedures along with vaccinations, microchipping, and other services. The whole idea is to alleviate pressure on local shelters and lower the number of animals forced to live in poor conditions because their owners can't afford care. The new clinic opens next Monday along Odana Road. Spays and neuters will start at $50 for cats and $100 for dogs.
There's a busy East Side road that connects drivers to the interstate that's going to be closed off to traffic for most of the day. Cottage Grove Road will be closed between Sprecher Road and Amnicon Trail, that is, starting at 7 o'clock this morning. So you have about a half hour until this starts. This is just east of the interstate near Door Creek Park. Crews are going to be repairing a culvert there. Cottage Grove should be reopened tonight around 6.
And if you bike to work along Lake Monona, this one's for you. City of Madison crews will be removing those big bags of sand along the Capital City bike path at Monona Terrace later this morning. Starting at 9 a.m., that section of the trail will be closed off. The work will involve some heavy equipment. It should take about 2 weeks to complete. You can still walk your bikes around that area while work is happening. All right, 6:24 your time now. The UW-Madison campus will be busier than usual this morning as a former vice president encourages students there to vote early. Josh Spreiter is live with a preview.
And there's a 911 center here in southern Wisconsin that says it needs more staff to keep people safe. We'll tell you about the growing number of emergency calls that are being made when News 3 This Morning returns.
Candidates for Attorney General are hoping their last debate will convince hundreds of thousands of undecided voters.
Former Vice President Joe Biden will be in Madison today campaigning. I'm Josh Sprider live in downtown with what this means for your commute coming up.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. 6:28 now on this Tuesday, October 30th. Tuesday, so that means we have exactly 7 days until Election Day and the end of all of the political ads.
Yeah, I know. It feels like it's been a long time coming. Let's turn it over, though, first, before we get to more political news, to Dave Caulfield in for Hattie this morning with a look at your first alert weather. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. I wanted to be political, though.
Okay, well, do you, man.
Okay. Government. There you go. There's your political news from me for today. I hope I'm not too political when I say that this afternoon may be a little bit dicey for some of us because some rain chances are on the way, especially for spots south and east of Madison. A live look in Platteville on our Queen Bee Radio Skycam showing those mostly cloudy skies to start us off. Doppler track is showing quiet conditions across southern Wisconsin. The rain still well off to the north and west, but by this afternoon that rainmaker moves into town and could spark off some showers along the cold front, bringing some rain to some of us. Temperatures in the mid-40s to start out this Tuesday. Wind speed's not too bad, so it won't be too breezy today, even with that cold front coming through, which is nice to say because it could be a lot worse in some areas. Right now, that wind out of the south and east at about 8 to 12 miles per hour. So here is your first alert temperature update for the next 12 hours. We're looking at highs in the mid-50s under those clouds by the time we get to this afternoon. Now let's take a look at your first alert traffic update. Tried to jump the gun a little bit there. No major accidents or incidents to report across Dane County and across the Madison area. Traffic is generally heading out at the posted speeds. Here are your drive times this morning. Everything looking good. Showing up green. Westbound John Nolan to Verona Road on the Beltline, 4 minutes with an average speed of around 60 miles per hour. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right. All hail the king of smooth transitions. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate it. 6:30 right now. We do want to start the news this half hour with politics. We're just a week out now from the midterms, and we continue to welcome big names to Wisconsin who are stumping for candidates here.
The latest is Vice President Joe Biden, who's on the UW-Madison campus later this morning. Josh Sprider is live outside the Gordon Dining Hall, where people are already staking out their spots for that visit. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning, ladies. Biden isn't expected to speak until sometime between 9 and 11 this morning, but there's already people lining up outside of the Gordon Dining and Event Center. I caught up with a family in line. They drove down from La Crosse at 1 o'clock this morning in order to get in line for that event. Political experts tell me Biden's visit is to appeal to those younger voters who don't typically turn out to vote for the midterm. We've seen other big-name political figures on both sides of the aisle visiting the state in this last-minute push before the election. But this is the first time one is visiting Madison. Candidates set to appear this morning include Senator Tammy Baldwin, gubernatorial candidate Tony Evers, and Lieutenant Governor candidate Mandela Barnes. This comes after President Trump visited central Wisconsin to rally for Republicans last week, and former President Obama made an appearance in Milwaukee on Friday.
They're not trying to convince anyone how to vote at this point. Like, people who come to these rallies, they, probably 98% of them made up their mind, and they're just coming to support their party. And so it's more about energizing the base, making sure they get to the polls.
Republican Senate candidate Leah Vukmir will spend the day campaigning across the state as well. She'll be joined on her tour by a number of political figures, including Eric Trump, Sean Duffy, and Patrick Testin. No street closures are expected for Biden's visit, but I'm told you should expect some delays in downtown as there will be an increase in traffic. Again, this doesn't start until 9 this morning, expected to go until 11. Tickets are required, and no bags will be allowed inside the Gordon Dining and Event Center. But pretty dedicated folks out here getting up at 11 or 1 o'clock in the morning to drive down.
Yeah, welcome to our pain, right, Josh?
There you go.
Yeah, except, some of us aren't outside like you guys. So get into the car, get into some heat, and we thank you for your report. Josh Sprider reporting live from the UW campus.
6:32 your time now. About 1 in every 10 Wisconsin voters, so more than 400,000 people, say they're still undecided about the state's race for Attorney General. Democratic candidate Josh Kaul is a former federal prosecutor. He's up against incumbent Republican Brad Schimmel. Last night in Janesville, the two had their final debate ahead of the midterms. Schimmel says Call lacks the experience necessary for the job. Call says Schimmel didn't work fast enough to test thousands of rape kits in the state. We have more on both candidates in the race for Attorney General. That's up on channel3000.com.
One of the people charged in connection with a shooting near La Follette High School in Madison will be back in court today to try and change the conditions of his bond. 21-year-old Dwan Briggs was originally given a $50,000 cash bond after being charged with attempted first-degree intentional homicide and first-degree recklessly endangering safety. He was also banned from being around the high school. Briggs and 17-year-old Jamie J.C. Hayes were arrested along with a 16-year-old student after another student was shot during a fight last month. That victim is okay. A stray bullet also hit a nearby car.
The Beloit woman who sexually assaulted a man with a screwdriver after claiming he assaulted her son is scheduled to be back in court this afternoon. Precious Bailey claims she's a medium and had visions of the man assaulting her 2-year-old. Officers say Bailey beat and assaulted that man after he denied committing the crime. She burned him, cut him, and bruised his ribs, among other injuries. Police say there is nothing to prove the claims he was abusing her child. Bailey faces charges of first-degree sexual assault, aggravated battery of an elderly person, and false imprisonment.
We're learning more about what a former Wisconsin congressional candidate planned to do with radioactive material he tried to buy on the dark web. Jeremy Ryan faces federal charges after trying to purchase a lethal amount of radioactive substance from an undercover FBI agent. Newly released court documents claim he planned to use it to kill himself if his cancer came back. In federal court yesterday, a judge ruled Ryan is a risk to public safety as well as a flight risk and ordered he stay in jail until his next court appearance.
Dispatchers for the Walworth County Sheriff's Office say they need more staff to handle the influx of calls they're getting. The Janesville Gazette reports the dispatch center currently has 4 vacancies, but some current dispatchers say even if those were filled, they would still need more people to handle the volume and the stress of the calls coming in. In 2017, dispatchers there received about 125,000 calls. Just under 22,000 of those were 911 calls. The Sheriff's Office says it will launch a study next year to determine whether more dispatchers need to be hired. That study should be completed in time to request any budget changes for 2017.
6:35 right now. Pittsburgh's mayor is asking the president to hold off on a visit following this weekend's mass shooting at a synagogue. We'll tell you why in the morning sprint.
And we have a friendly reminder for anyone who parks in downtown Janesville. The warnings popping up on windshields this month, they're going to turn into tickets this week. The details are next on News 3 This Morning.
Welcome back. It is almost 6:39 on your Tuesday morning, and as always, we ask you to share your morning with us. Tammy posted this one on Facebook from Marshall, just a gorgeous shot of the sun coming up there.
Exactly what we need today, since we likely won't see much of that stuff today, huh?
Not very much at all.
Thanks so much for sharing, Tammy. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. We share our favorites every morning right here on the program.
So if you live or work in downtown Janesville, you will need to start following parking rules around there or risk a fine. For the past few weeks, city workers have been marking tires and issuing warnings to drivers who park in spots beyond the posted time limit. The Janesville Gazette reports they will start issuing $15 parking tickets, though, for violations starting Thursday. Now, the city's also getting rid of 1-hour stalls. They will add 2-hour spots and change some to all-day spaces. All of those changes should be made by tomorrow in time for them to be reinforced by this Thursday, November 1st.
Madison alders are considering a plan to address the shortage of affordable housing in the city. There's a proposal to invest an extra $7 million in 4 different projects, which would add about 300 units. Just over $2 million of that money would be from federal funds. About $5 million would be from the city's Affordable Housing Fund. Now, if it's approved, the State Journal reports that money will help developers secure federal low-income housing tax credits. Common Council will talk about that at its meeting tonight.
So we are expecting some showers later on today, but that means a dry trick-or-treating forecast for all of you stocking up on fun-size M&Ms and mini Reese's tomorrow. Dave is preparing us for the sugar rush after the break.
But first, it's October 30th. We want to say happy birthday to Carter, Elijah, Haley, Karen, and all of the kiddos turning 3. Here's hoping you get a little extra candy tomorrow.
Yeah.
And thanks for celebrating with News 3 this morning.
Team in the NBA this morning. They beat the Toronto Raptors last night 124 to 109. Now Toronto was the only other team in the league that started with a 6-0 record, making it the first game in NBA history between two teams with that record. The Bucks now 7-0. That start matches the best in franchise history. That record was set, by the way, back in the 1971-72 season when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was on the team. Here's the kicker. Giannis Antetokounmpo did not even play last night. He was out on concussion protocol. But even without the Greek Freak, the team matched a franchise record with 19 three-pointers. The Bucks take on the Celtics Thursday night in Boston. All right, a quick poll of the newsroom this morning shows most will willingly participate in National Candy Corn Day. We know it can be a polarizing treat.
It certainly is. The controversial treat has been around since the 1880s, and if you're curious how it got its name, it's not supposed to taste like corn, obviously, and it's not made with corn syrup either. It's because the yellow, orange, and white colors were used to represent the colors of corn kernels. Makes sense. It's also one of the most divisive candies out there. There aren't many people who are undecided about the taste. Most people seem to love or hate it.
Yeah. I'm on the, wow, that's a really cool picture, by the way. This is apparently the source of the corn. Name is up for debate a little bit. Some are convinced it's because you can do this, stack it up to make it look like corn on the cob. I've never done that personally. I've always kind of associated the corn kernel thing.
Yeah, I mean, me too. It's tough to, worry about where the name came from, the colors, when I'm just inhaling it into my mouth.
Thank you. It is so addicting, and then all of a sudden you get that stomach ache, and you're just like,
right. And then
oops.
15 minutes later, you start the process all over again. Is that how you're supposed to do it? That's how I was taught.
But here's the mind-blowing thing. Before I saw that picture, I had never thought that you could stack it up.
Yeah.
That is just crazy.
And then
inhale
I'm like picturing Dave eating a corn on the cob.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Get stuck in my teeth.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, that'd be a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. And we're not talking about a lot with this rain coming this afternoon, transitions, but we are talking about a little bit. So we'll have to pay attention early this afternoon, especially south and east of Madison as a cold front comes through. We could see some showers spark along that front. Right now, though, that rain's still well off to the north and west across the Madison area. We are quiet on Doppler track. Actually, all of southern Wisconsin is looking quiet. A welcome change because once again, a very rainy month we have had. If I could speak like Yoda, maybe that's what I'll do tomorrow for Halloween. We've had about 5 inches of rain in Madison, and over the last couple of days, we've had at least a trace of rain from the 26th to the 29th. If you're curious, the last time we got over 5 inches of rain in October was actually back in 1991. So it's been a minute, as the kids say. Live look in Madison on the WISC-TV Skycam, looking at mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the mid-40s to start us out on this Tuesday morning. We are looking at temperatures a little bit warmer compared to where we were at this time on Monday. You're out the door forecast. We do have to keep in mind that some showers, especially south and east of Madison, are possible, but temperatures will still be pretty close to normal for this time of year. So that's good news. It could be a lot worse, folks, when we talk about late October, early November across southern Wisconsin. So temperatures in the mid-50s with a couple of rain showers possible. Let me break that down for you a little bit on future tracks. So clouds on the increase throughout much of this morning, but temperatures not really responding all that much. We'll still be in the mid-50s, but you can see right along that cold front, you can see the sharp cutoff in where that precipitation will fall from that line from Fond du Lac down through Juneau, Madison, into Monroe, and closer to Dubuque, Iowa. And some of those showers, at least on this latest run at Future Track, could hang on a little bit longer. So that's something to keep in mind. Have that umbrella ready to go this afternoon and into this evening in some spots. But the good news is, for all us Halloween enthusiasts for tomorrow, like this Frankenstein, we are going to be dry with temperatures in the 40s, so almost perfect trick-or-treat weather for tomorrow. Your 7-day forecast showing those temperatures in the mid-50s for tomorrow, and then we'll be in the low 50s Thursday. A little bit more unsettled, though, as we start November, and the first weekend of November could feature some rain and snow showers late on Saturday into early Sunday with those temperatures in the mid-40s for highs. So there is some stuff coming up, but at least some nice weather for All Hallows Eve is in store.
Yeah, that is always nice to hear, especially, you just never know how much you have to layer up under the costume.
Yes, and speaking of costumes, Zoe in the Wisconsin Dells, thank you so much for sending this in. hopefully a good witch, not a bad witch,
Nice.
with temperatures in the mid-50s this afternoon.
Little Glenda action there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next.
.652 time now for the morning sprint. Dave is expecting a few showers to move through the area this afternoon, with temperatures getting up in the mid-50s.
But we start with Josh Spreiter live on the UW campus with a preview of former Vice President Joe Biden's visit there.
Good morning. We're already seeing an increase in security presence out here as Mr. Biden is set to speak at sometime between 9 and 11 here on campus this morning. This is just part of the latest push by national political figures making stops in Wisconsin. Biden is the first one to visit Madison ahead of next week's midterm. President Trump and former President Obama visited other parts of the state last week. Candidates set to appear alongside Biden this morning include Senator Tammy Baldwin, gubernatorial candidate Tony Evers, and Lieutenant Governor candidate Mandela Barnes. Meanwhile, Republican Senate candidate Leah Vukmir will be continuing her tour across Wisconsin today with Eric Trump, Sean Duffy, and Patrick Testin. You should expect delays in downtown Madison due to Biden's visit this morning. You can find everything you need to know on channel3000.com.
Thank you, Josh. More than 400,000 Wisconsin voters say they're still undecided about the state's race for Attorney General. Former prosecutor Josh Kaul and incumbent Brad Schimmel debated last night in Janesville for the last time before next week's election. Schimmel says that Kaul lacks the experience necessary for the job. Kaul argued that Schimmel did not work fast enough to test thousands of rape kits in the state.
There is a conversation tonight about some of the most important issues impacting communities of color. A forum called Race to the Polls is hoping to energize minority voters. The discussion will focus on how health care, immigration, and the juvenile justice system could be impacted by the candidates up for election. It's happening at 5:30 tonight over at the UW Space Place inside the Villager Mall on South Park Street.
The former executive director of Madison's Tenant Resource Center plans to appeal the decision to fire her. The Cap Times reports the center's board told Brenda Conkle they wanted to go in a different direction. Conkle had served as executive director since 1995. She refused to resign and was fired on Friday. The treasurer for Conkle's mayoral campaign told the paper she wasn't aware of any conflict between her run for Madison mayor and Conkle's position.
Good morning. Radar is clear right now across southern Wisconsin, but it won't stay that way for some of us by this afternoon. Have that umbrella ready to go. Temperatures starting off in the mid-40s this morning or reach highs in the mid-50s. That wind not too bad, even as a cold front comes through, and those chances for showers spark up by the time we get to this afternoon and evening.
All right, thanks, Dave. The mayor of Pittsburgh does not want President Trump to go through with his scheduled visit to the city today after a deadly shooting inside a synagogue. Some of the first funerals will be held for the 11 victims this afternoon. Mayor William Peduto says he thinks the focus should be on those families rather than a presidential visit. On Monday, a judge ordered suspect Robert Bowers to be held without bail. Prosecutors say they intend to seek the death penalty.
Just in this morning, the president plans to sign an executive order that would end the right to citizenship for children born to illegal immigrants on U.S. soil. He told reporters with HBO the concept is ridiculous and has to end, but did not provide any detailed plans on ending that policy. Meanwhile, the Pentagon's preparing to deploy thousands of National Guard troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. They'll assist Border Patrol ahead of a large caravan of migrants arriving there. It's still, though, about 800 miles away.
Up in Barron, Wisconsin, a man is facing burglary charges after police say he broke into the home of a missing 13-year-old girl and her late parents. Local reports say 32-year-old Kyle Janke Annis took underwear and other clothing belonging to Jamie Kloss. He has been cleared of any involvement in Jamie's disappearance. The sheriff says they've closed 1,800 of the 2,000 tips in the search for Jamie so far.
A former congressional candidate was trying to take his own life with the radioactive material he attempted to buy. Jeremy Ryan faces federal charges after trying to purchase a lethal amount of radioactive substance from an undercover FBI agent. Newly released court documents say he planned to kill himself if his cancer came back. A federal judge has ordered Ryan to stay in jail until his next court appearance.
Madison School Board will be rescheduling its meeting sometime within the next week after students shut down last night's conversation. The board was trying to pass the district's operating budget for the current school year when dozens of protesters showed up to show their opposition to police officers in high schools. The budget does need to be approved by November 1st.
We will learn later today whether class will be canceled again for 7th and 8th graders in DeForest tomorrow. The superintendent says classes could be rescheduled or moved to different rooms after mold was found in part of the middle school. Experts there say the mold is currently inactive, but they're not sure how long it has been there or when it was active.
6:57 the time now. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with the look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. It's picking up on the Beltline, especially heading westbound. Brake lights showing up between Stoughton Road and West Broadway. It's going to add a couple minutes to your drive time. Look for slowdowns popping up on inbound John Nolan near the Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections moving into downtown. Northbound side of Rona Road, you're slowing down approaching the Highway PD intersection. That's going to add a few minutes. But other main routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And here's a look at downtown Madison. We can see a beautiful sunrise taking shape. We do have the clouds out there, though. Your day planner for today, temperatures will be in the mid-50s with some rain showers possible as we head into this afternoon and evening.
Grab that jacket, that umbrella on your way out the door today, and have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow morning.